What's up, WWE Champions Universe? Welcome to Champions Chat, the fastest growing podcast dedicated to the WWE Champions mobile game. I'm the unfortunate son, Rusty Graves, and with me as always is the people's chump, Lee Brown. What's up, Lee?
What's up, Rusty? Let me show you something.
I gave us zombie names. Can you recall exactly which zombies those are?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was easy. Unfortunate Son, Zombie Dom, and People's Chomp. Come on. That one's obvious. It's Jinder Mahal.
The People's Champ. It was like the first time the title, changed hands on international soil, but it was also just on like a regular SmackDown episode.
Yeah.
Just so wild. So shocking. So shocking.
That's right.
Well, it's October, and it's spooky season, as my kids call it. My kids told me that anytime you take a poop in October, it's called a spooky dookie. Did you know that, Lee?
That's almost a dad joke, not a kid joke. Wow. Wow.
Well, not only that, it's zombie month, and Lee has been doing his best impression of a zombie to be the Walking Dead lately. He was out with some sort of, serious ailment. So we're glad you're back.
Viral flu. Yeah. So last Friday we did our stream. You know, we didn't do the Thursday podcast, obviously. So welcome back. But last Friday we did our stream, and I was saying I went between, feeling okay and getting to about 100 or so, up to about 103, 104 for like 3 straight days. Well, by the end of our stream on Friday, when I was saying like, man, I'm feeling sick, I was at 103 by the time our stream was done. So I was streaming, and Gerson had hopped on and was joking with us and stuff, and he messaged me. I was like, dude, I feel like, I know you've done this before. Like he streamed when he was like super sick, because he was like, hey, this is what I do, I'm gonna keep doing it. And so it was a fun like moment, and he was like, yeah, I'm sick too. I'm like, well, there we go. But yeah, so you don't know this yet, Rusty, but the reason G hopped on, he was like, yeah, some of the devs were watching your stream, and they were like, hey, these guys are on, you should watch. So I was like, what? They do watch.
That night?
Yeah.
That night?
On Friday, on that Friday stream. Yeah.
I love it. I wonder if the devs of our beloved game, I wonder if they're interested in our Friday night stream simply because we are grading and rating their work directly. True. I wonder if they're even designing and building superstars to reach certain, benchmarks, right? And then when we test them out and we kind of give them a grade, we're giving our feedback, as well as because it's community involved. And so, hey, if you're listening to our show, maybe you're listening on Spotify or watching it on YouTube later on demand. If you've never been on with us on a Friday night on twitch.tv/WWE Champions, which is the Scopely main account, and Lee and I get to host a Friday night show, we put every new superstar that comes out to the test, and we have audience interaction and a voting system that helps us grade everything that they do. And not only that, Lee recently published a video explaining our power ratings, so you can actually get caught up on that system before you ever jump in. You don't have to. We explain it. It's pretty self. It's not self. I don't remember. What's the right word I'm looking for?
Self-explanatory?
Not self-explanatory, because Lee, you do a great job setting up each category as we elicit the feedback. So it is incrementally understandable.
That's
all
right.
That to say, that's a little plug for our Friday night show. Sometimes they give us giveaways too. Sometimes we get to even give away free stuff during the show.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I
Speaking,
think they are trying, the devs, whether they're watching ours or not. When you say grade, like we're not saying, okay, is this character, live up to our wildest expectations or not? But like, you're right. They are trying to hit a certain sweet spot for like the B tier characters should hit kind of in this range and be about this fast. The A tier characters should be about this fast, et cetera, et cetera. And so when we do
right?
see, like your zombie LA Knight, they got a 25 out of 25. I feel like that's what they were shooting for. I feel like they were
So,
going, this is a character
yeah,
everybody should want to have. And, that
right.
kind of verifies it for them through, the community reactions that we get. So anyway,
It's really wild when we figure something out during the power rating, or meaning, I think about the Maxine Dupree power rating, for
right,
example. We kind of had it dialed in, and then somebody in the chat was like, wait a second, you can actually run the boost twice if
right,
you run it this way. So then we'll actually see superstars essentially reach double the damage that we thought possible. So
right.
those are always fun. That's my favorite thing, is when they say, wait, I think they're even better than we're realizing.
Yep.
That's one of the things we do with the community. Um, have you listened to Two Bob's podcast yet? Our buddy
I
Two Bob started a
haven't.
podcast called The Lounge, and
Yeah.
they're
Well, it's
recording
technically restarting it.
well, yeah. Sometimes I think our shows are long. His show is long form podcasting at its finest. I mean, I want to say some of their episodes are like 3 hours, where they get in there and they do a long term conversation analysis of the month. It's a lot of
Nice.
fun. So shout out to the Two Bob Lounge podcast and all of the panel that he has going in there. Some of the best players in the game. I mean, it's top
Nice.
faction guys that really know the game well, are having some great conversation. If podcasts are your thing, check them out.
Well, you're here, so
Yeah,
you're hearing
yeah.
ours. Just saying.
So Lee, it's Zombie Month. So rarely do I tune in to what's happening on um, Facebook, on the Champions kind of forums. I like it all. The conversation always feels kind of samey. Like,
Hmm.
is this person good? Or I'm looking for a faction. I got kicked out 5 minutes after the feud ended. I'm not sure why. Or
Because I only
those are
did 2 matches. I don't understand why they kicked me out.
like they said it was a faction family, and I've been kicked out of the family. Yeah, so like I follow, a little bit, but there was a post this week that I thought was worth talking about on our show today, and somebody posted, Zombie Month has been very meh.
Hmm.
MEH. They said Zombie
Wow.
Month has been very meh. And then there were quite a few comments in response agreeing. Yeah,
Wow.
I thought more. This is their biggest month of the year. I thought it'd be more exciting. I thought there'd be, you know, like I, one person wrote explicitly, so I won't say it because we're kind of a PG podcast. They just said, yeah, Zombie Month has been blank, beep, insert the pejorative of your choice, right? Um,
Rass and
it was
Frassen.
one of the top factions, top players in the game that wrote that. I took it all with a grain of salt, knowing that sometimes negative four, it's easy to kind of snowball, right?
Right.
Once we'll just kind of dogpile the negativity on one another. So I'm curious about what some of our chat would say about Zombie Month. But I'd like to take us on a little trip, if I could. Lee, do you mind getting in your time machine today with me?
Okay.
Last month, last year. I'm sorry. Oh, you got your DeLorean. Last year, Zombie Month came in like a lion and went out with a whimper. And it was one of the lowest morale times in the community I can remember. People were
Yeah.
frustrated with the game. They felt unable. many of which unable to max the MLC. There was
Zombie
a
Cody was not well received.
right. There was a heavy emphasis. It felt like on um, CSS, and there were some of were really rare CSS. So I just remember being like the state of affairs. There had been quite a few things that they had to apologize for, and even a post that said like we are committed to getting this right. Like
Yeah.
we own it. We own that things have not been as good as they can be. We will make it better. Like I remember that, right? That
Yeah.
was last zombie month. Um, and then lo and behold, prize wall medallions fell from the heavens, and everyone had a great zombie month, right? Just out of the blue, we were grabbing plates, we were grabbing posters, many of us got, my haul was Zombie Gunther, the sheriff's badge plate, a the blue. What's the blue? I can never remember that.
Heartstopper.
Heartstopper. I remember specifically those were three of my like main gets off
Right.
that prize wall. Um, Fast forward a year later, there's been fairly accessible CSS.
Yeah.
There's been no, to my knowledge, no low morale in the community. People are playing and able to recruit Zombie Brett. I would say, most of the community that is in playing competitively is getting close to Brett or has already recruited him. I acknowledge many are still far from Brett. I
Yeah.
absolutely acknowledge that. Everyone has Chelsea now, and her entourage ability is as good as anyone's could be.
It's an S
Top-rated
plus tier entourage ability. Yeah.
And so I'm curious, Lee, your thoughts. Does Zombie Month feel meh to you? Because I would say it feels very safe, very stable, very predictable,
Yeah.
very engaging. The bottom's not falling out of the game like
Right.
people tend to, try to forecast. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Well, I have a theory, and then I'll go back to in the game, but I think a part of it is just a general tiredness in the country right now. I mean, we just had multiple hurricanes hit Florida, right? And so even though we
Yeah.
didn't all go through that together, it was everybody's watching, everybody's got somebody they know out in Florida, etc. We are in the midst of what promises to be one of the most contentious election cycles in U.S. history.
It's
Plus,
true.
overall, the sense of the economy, the sense of like inflation, the sense of it just feels like I feel like the world itself is a lot more like right now, and I think some of that is bleeding into the game. But I think that this game, I mean, the reason I've played it for so long is this is my escape. This is my, that thing that I do to take my brain away from all the things that are going on in the world, and that it has provided that continually. In fact, this week, my goodness, yesterday they released a boss battle and a showdown and a set of tours all in the same 5 minutes, and I was like, how am I going to do all of this? Like,
Plenty to do. Plenty to
right.
do. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, and then the zombies themselves, they're, if nothing else, if it's nothing but their coaching abilities that we get out of this month, those coaching abilities are literally game changing. We already did a video on that. We've shown it. So, and I think, I mean, Bailey, I didn't get to say it as much during the power rating. Maybe a little bit. I think, Bailey's move damage isn't going to scale into the 7-star meta as
How dare
well,
you?
but
How dare you?
but
How
she's
dare
a
you
monster
speak
now.
ill of Zom Bailey? We have been needing Zom Bailey in the game for years. We finally got her, and
That's right.
you're
And she's
here
amazing.
trying to. You're here trying to talk her down. Apparently, she's going to have short-lived fame.
Well, I mean, I called it last year with Zombie Liv too. I said Zombie Liv's not going to scale into the next meta near as well as Zombie Becky, and I was right. I mean, Zombie Liv is still
No,
great
you were
though.
wrong. I love Zombie Liv still.
She
I
still does
still love
great.
her.
Yeah.
Now she could use some gear. Like
There you
it
go.
was shocking to me that she didn't get gear when I think everyone else from that cycle got gear. Why would Liv get no gear, guys? Who's out there making that decision not to give, one of the better, if not the best, female powerhouse in the game? Why not keep her relevant even longer?
Yeah.
Why not keep the community, keep her stock high in the community, keep people
Right.
wanting to chase her, keep people wanting to acquire her, keep people wanting to use her. Because it's not like I don't like the alternatives for female powerhouse.
Yeah.
So
She's my best
Liv's
female
my
powerhouse.
Liv's my best, and I had to work hard and spend quite a bit in Spring Outbreak to finally recruit her.
Yep.
So I would love for her to be relevant, even more relevant,
More relevant.
in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, she's
Um,
still good, but great. Yeah, and I think that you hit the other thing on there. I think we've gotten used to there being gears to chase and look forward to. Like we look forward to Jacob Fatu, and then there was the, oh, but man, his gear makes him so much more overpowered, and so you were almost kind of looking forward to part one, part two, and for reasons that I think are obvious. I'm 99% sure they're saving gear for Spring Outbreak next year. They're not doing gear. They did the plates, which were okay, but those feel like they've already come and gone. And so it's one of those, like, what is there to look forward in the community? Now, we all know that there's a mystery zombie coming still, but we know it's going to be an S plus tier as well. So I think maybe for some that is like, well, I'm excited that they're coming, but that's going to be a super rare character. So maybe they feel
yeah,
like the stuff that's on the bottom shelf has already been revealed. But we also don't know, because as you mentioned, it was the Halloween prize wall that turned everybody's feelings around. Like, everybody walked away from last zombie month going, this was the greatest thing ever, and it was that prize wall that changed everybody's opinion. So
yeah. So tell me about the prize wall, but before you do, I thought this feedback was great. Sensei Kreese said everyone says the same things at the beginning of the MLC,
right.
which is ho hum, right? And then Scopely drops a banger event towards the end, and everyone loves it.
Right.
That's that. I don't know that that's going to happen. That's possible, right?
I
And
would say it's
you
possible.
specifically mentioned Halloween event. So if something was going
Yep.
to happen at the end of the month, it would likely coincide with Halloween.
Yep.
Do you have any memories on last year's Halloween? I don't remember it. I just remember getting pumpkins, I think, as the currency. Is that right?
Yeah, and then the pumpkins had the prize wall medallions in there, and there may or may not have been an oopsie that made a little bit more available currency than they were expecting, which is partially why everybody so loved it. But functionally, it was the chase for those prize wall medallions through the pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, whatever, and everybody had an opportunity to where you could choose Zombie Liv or Zombie Becky, and maybe some plates, and that's what I did. I had pulled Zombie Becky in the loot, which was amazing. That's an old pulls video if you want to go back and find it, well before we were official content creators, and our stuff looked and sounded a lot worse. So I was able to take Zombie Liv, I was able to take Zombie Gunther, I was able to take, and that was before we realized how good his coaching ability was. I was able to take the Heartstopper and the Last Ride to Hell. So, I mean, that is a haul right
Yeah.
there. And yeah, it
For
was
free,
very good.
right? I mean, but basically that was a free haul, was it not?
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
remember. I mean, it was not everyone, I think, won big. And I don't, maybe if you spent more, you got more. But I
Yeah,
remember getting a lot, and I would not have been spending
right.
much at that point. Um, well, if you remember back to last month, Lee,
Oh,
My feedback from last month was there was way too much to do. That they crammed in
yes,
this
I remember.
Ninja Turtle event and I couldn't keep up with it. And it felt like there was just this almost like a game fatigue or a spending fatigue that I was feeling and experiencing or hearing around, Discord. And yet this month, I like the pace. I'm glad there's not another, at least to my knowledge, two week event coming in um, to be kind of forced in there
Right.
on top of what we're already doing. I like kind of the pace that the midweek medallions are at right now. I hope to get more, and yet, gosh, it was a little overwhelming. King Xerxes said, right? A little
Yeah.
overwhelming. So is this really quote meh, or are we just like were we overstimulated last month and this is just a fun normal MLC and
Yeah.
we're maybe in comparison there's not as much to do.
It's very possible. I said it last time we talked about this, but I say it again. I mean, I think if they had maybe done the Bloodline Takeover as a 3 week event, and then do a 2 week Ninja Turtles event, and then do a 4 week Zombie event, or some combination, maybe it's a 3 week Turtle event, whatever it was. But if they had kind of spread those out a little bit instead of stacked them, I think maybe it would have been a little better received. But then again, you'd had people who, maybe didn't get Jacob where they thought they might have, because if it was a longer event, blah, blah, blah. So, no matter what, you're going to have to make um, concessions to how things go. But
Right.
yeah, like, and I mentioned yesterday, there was a showdown on top of a boss battle on top of a tour, and any two of those things would have been just right in that sweet spot. So why not move that showdown to a day like Sunday, when there's not really much to do in the game, or Monday when there's not been as much. But I feel like they're trying to create a better balance, because for a while
I
the
agree.
complaints were there's not much to do, and now there's too much to do. So like if they can kind of spread out those things a little bit more, like this, there's the right amount of things, they're just lumped together instead of kind of being woven together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see the midweek contest shifting away kind of from the first 2 days of the week. Also, it's interesting now it's almost like we have three phases of the week. Like there's
Right.
like Monday, like Monday, Tuesday, which is, or maybe it's Sunday, Monday, which is just kind of like
No,
some
Monday, Tuesday.
tours or blitz. And then maybe a master manager starts, maybe some showdown with the Gunther tour this month, the Gunther showdown this month. It doesn't really feel like it's intertwined in the midweek event like the boss battle started, right? You had some scouting, and then you had a Wednesday, Thursday, 2 day
Right.
boss. Um, yeah, it just feels like there's three distinct phases to the week now, where there's
Yeah.
kind of like downtime. There's kind of that midweek is where you're getting your MLC points, your solo points, and then the weekend contest, which has always been kind of the high point of the week. So it's
Yeah.
almost like it progressively ramps up to Saturday. Saturday's the big day, and
Right.
then Sunday we're like, whew, okay. I don't know. I,
Yeah.
I like the rhythm. I like the pace right now. I like things as they are. I'm always open to change and innovation, but it seems like the community is happier than it realizes.
Yeah.
Could that be possible that they have this almost like this muscle memory of expecting things whatever to not be so great, or um, all gamers are salty, all of them, all gamers are
What?
prone to negativity, all gamers are anti corporation that's making the game, yet they love it and support it. And it was the same way when I played Magic, competitively. Everybody was so down on the game yet played it incessantly and spent a ton of money on it.
Right.
So gamers are funny people, aren't they?
Yeah.
Uh,
Interesting. Interesting
yeah.
take.
Well, I really like the way things are this month. I really like the zombies. For me, the win is going to be if I can get Bailey or not. I don't
Yeah.
know. LA Knight feels like luck.
Yeah.
Whoever this next one will probably feel like luck. But I think if I can play hard and engage and do well, I think I have a shot at Bailey. You know what's going to be really interestingly is Scopely's got this new thing now where they're putting the previous month's S tier shards in the stip shop.
Yeah.
Um, I don't. I bet you they will not do that with the zombie shards. Thoughts on
Interesting.
that? That's just
Um,
that's my forecast. I have no
sure.
knowledge of that, but they don't offer the licensed characters in the UCC. They
Right.
don't offer
Well, zombies
many
either.
zombie moments, plates, or gear in non spring outbreak or non October.
Right.
And I just think that precedent is kind of like the Disney Vault, right? It
Yeah.
goes in the vault until they're ready to release it.
That's a perfect illustration of that. And I think that's what will happen. I mean, I'm guessing they'll still have, in the like next month's event how they currently have previous month's shards in events. I mean, I think that'll still happen, but I think after, zombie month, it's going to be spring outbreak before you get a chance at some of these characters, some of these plates, some of these, etc. Again, yeah, as Bill's Mafia said, there's no zombies in the club store, and that's something that's come
Right.
up a couple times in chats that's just not that's not happening, or at least as far as we know. As far as we
No
know, it
Santa
doesn't seem
Hogan
like.
either, right? So there are
Yeah,
some things that are just feels like they're seasonally offered,
right.
seasonally available.
Yes.
Um,
Speaking of
so yeah, I
seasonally
don't.
available, we're coming up on November. I still hope and guess, this is just a guess, not inside information at all, that they're going to release more of the double 4MP trainers. Like this month, there was that theme of the coaching abilities of constantly having the, one color plus multi. I'm hoping that there is a double MP set of trainers next month. And as I've gone through different previews, and by the way, you've done the last few for us, which thank you. It's been awesome. But as I go through the different previews, I'm like, oh
Way
man,
down.
no.
You got to get
uh,
back to making the videos where they're like this guy. We humor him, but
this
he's not
guy.
good.
Nah. No, but even as I was like doing Chelsea's, I was thinking, okay, if there were like a red and purple double MP trainer, then she would be, equal to where she's at now after the break, after the 99 MP's gone. And there's several characters where I'm like, ooh, if they put blue and green, or if they put whatever combination, there's still so many they can do. I think for me, Zombie Month is their biggest month of the year. How do they follow that up? Well, if there's new double 4MP trainers, I mean, until they exhaust that well, everybody's going to be chasing. I mean, I don't expect the B tier character to be that next month, but like if the S plus and the S tier at least
Right.
have that. Maybe the A tier just to throw a bone to some people, but who knows? Who knows?
What color? I mean, I'm just curious. What colors? What is there one above all color pairings that you would want to see that
Not
you would love to have?
necessarily. I mean, like, because it's almost gone by month now. They really, these last, ever since I think Canada month, they've really kind of themed all the characters to have very similar setups. And so, like, all the Canadian month characters had a certain, color set that would really work well for them. And the Bloodline characters was what, purple and green, or, whatever. And then the TMNT characters and the, et cetera, et cetera. So at this point, it's almost just like which set set of characters do you want buffed? But anytime they would release, should they do it, a new double 4MP trainer, it's gonna be huge because there's gonna be so many. I mean, Sir Zoro's gonna be so busy making videos because there'd be so many different combinations that they could do and characters that maybe we wrote off a long time ago that all of a sudden you go, oh wait, now that moveset works. Ooh. But I mean,
Well,
like red and yellow makes sense to me because there's a lot of characters
yeah,
that use the red and yellow
yeah.
combo. Release a new Hulk
Zombie
Hogan that's
Cody.
finally Legends era with the tights instead, or trunks instead of the long tights. Yeah, Zombie Cody. If there was a double, a red and a yellow, again, all the seventh anniversary, the Summer Champions 2, all of those characters kind of had a same theme, like the blue and the green. So yeah, it really just depends.
Yeah, green blue would be crazy, and red yellow would be crazy. Um, I there are some there are I would love to see it stay with NXT. I would love to see it be
Yeah,
NXT feature, or at least as they are NXT superstars that are like if we were to get an NXT month and have like Trick Williams
right.
and those would be so prime for the 3MP, and I would really love that, right? I mean, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Haley, you brought up November, and it just got me thinking about. It got me thinking. Well, it got me thinking a few things. I don't want to take us too far away. Um,
Sure.
First of all, I anticipate us to have a 2 month MLC, December, January again.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
that seems to be the norm. Um, but I guess what I'm wondering is like, is this format, this six gold meta format of knowing the superstars and seeing the roadmap, I love it. Will it stay? Do you think it's here for a long time to come, as even as the months carry on, November, December, January?
Um, Maybe. I mean, I think we've already seen a kind of a minor change of format this month in that they, only announced three of the characters and then left two to quote unquote be surprises. Now, whether or not they were surprises because of some in-game assets that everyone has access to is another question. But still kind of doing that, like OTC Roman was a surprise. The Turtles were a surprise. So I think they're kind of doing a hybrid of the way they used to do it for years and then the way they've been doing it for the last several months. I like knowing the roadmap. I like that the shards are the chase instead of just getting a lucky pull every weekend. Because if you remember, I mean, there was the free tier character, there was an S tier chase that you could get by maxing the MLC, but then every other character was luck, was spend, was whatever, and it's still
Yeah.
spend, but it feels better this way. Like if I spend knowing that I'm at least going to get X number of shards of Bailey, and I want Bailey. I think she's awesome. So therefore, then I've now moved myself closer to my goal. That feels a lot better than going, oh, there's a random, superstar that came out this weekend, and if I spend $1,000, I'll get him this weekend. If not, 7, 8 months from now they'll be available again, and then maybe I'll be able to blah blah blah.
Right.
I mean that means something to me. Similarly, there's a rumor going around that OTC is going to be added to the UCC next month, and I'm sitting here going, oh, okay, well, now I might be saving my UCC points to try and get Roman instead of going for Muda now that I've got Jacob Fatu. So it allows me to want some things longer than a minute, right? The way that they were doing it with dropping on the weekend, it's like, oh, I want that character, but then they're gone and we're on to the next one. This makes me feel like I've earned the character. And when I finally get Bailey, like when I got Jacob, I mean, my entire month last month was built around getting Jacob Fatu. And when I finally got him, celebration, right? It was like, yay. And now I took him to the moon. I use him on everything I possibly can. The 99 MPs there, all that kind of stuff. Whereas before it had been like, well, I hope I get him on that one weekend, and if I don't, then oh well. But if I did get him, it was like joy for a minute, but then it's like, well, but now there's the next thing. Now there's the next thing. This kind of delays the gratification, but it also allows for some surprises because they've surprised us with Naomi, they surprised us with OTC, they've, etc. TMNT. So, I mean, I like the balance. I like knowing at least this grouping that I can go for, and then I like having a surprise here and there. So if they keep that style going, I'm all for it. What do you think?
Well, I have a question. Should people should people without Sherry Martel
Ooh,
on their roster? I would be one of them.
yeah.
Should people without Sherry target Sherry or allegedly OTC coming to the Champions Club? Who,
Oof.
if they're both 700K, I think that's
Right,
the highest price on the portal at this point.
right.
They're both 700K.
Yeah.
What's the pick? What's the
I'm I,
pick?
I'm hoping that he's 550 like Rex Regum and Muda. But
You can hope in the one hand.
yeah,
and
you
you,
hope in one hand and wish in, yeah, crap in the other, and
yeah.
see which one fills up first. My grandpa used to say that a lot. I don't know. That's a really hard one. Sherry is a game changer for everybody that you have that does multiply gyms that you can spare a second slot for your trainers. But Roman, now granted, Roman needs Sherry in one of his builds, but even
Oh,
Roman's power gym build is massive. I mean, just massive.
hmm.
So I guess it depends on your roster. Like for me, I will go for OTC because I do have Sherry, obviously, but I don't have Raphael. So the power gym build isn't quite as spicy for on my account than it would be otherwise. But if you are going for OTC and you don't have Sherry, Sherry is one of the vital trainers to make OTC hit even extra harder. But then again, in boss battle, OTC can do 500 million by himself.
Okay.
So
Well,
if you're
let's
doing 300 million instead, are you going to be that upset?
let's simplify this. I don't have Raphael or Sherry.
Oh,
So do I even want Roman or is Sherry automatically the choice?
well, you have Matt Hardy, and I mean Matt is half of Sherry, but still, like I say, let's say 500 million is the number people throw out that he hits pretty regularly in boss battle. Like I said, what if you only hit 400? Are you going to be upset at that? So,
Right.
I mean, I think you'd still want Roman. Plus, he's a really good trainer, coach ability. I mean, it's niche by definition of who it works on, but those he does, it's pretty nice. So yeah, I mean, Roman to me is the get. Or
Okay.
him,
This
Muda,
is why.
Sherry, those are all right up there.
And not Muscle Man Bray anymore. He was
Yeah, he is
the
too. I think I just gave
he
up
was
on
the
him.
guy,
Yeah,
right? He was the top tier of all tiers, and he's not anymore, is he?
I don't know. We haven't
So,
power rated him yet.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
that would be
Mm-hmm.
fun. Just like, um, okay, so I started a sentence about November,
You did.
had a total brain fog, changed what I was going to ask you. This is what I
Gotcha.
really want to know. Lee, when is War Games? Is War Games coincide with Survivor Series now?
Yes.
Are they the
Yeah,
same?
that's the gimmick now. Yep.
So that's November, right?
November. Yep.
So what I was going to ask you about November, and I even wrote it in the chat so I'd remember, is we haven't, to my knowledge, we haven't talked about steel cage rules on our podcast at all. And I
Yeah.
will predict this. Steel cage rules are going to come back in a massive way in
Mm.
November to coincide with war games and potentially even be a month theme. I could see it being like the whole month is about the cage, right?
Wow.
And the rules and the limitations and restrictions. Thoughts on steel cage rules from you?
Yeah, I mean, every time there's something new in the game, the community freaks out, and then when there's not enough new in the game, the community freaks out. And that's we own that. We're part of that. It's not throwing rocks; it's a glass house. But the reality is, I think Steel Cage Rules was probably one of the more divisive that I've ever seen in things that were implemented. You had a lot of comments like, "Well, wait a second, I just got this new character and now I can't use it," or I thought I saw this. Hilarious meme that Sir Zorro posted on Facebook, and it was like the guy with his face looking at the thing, and it said, "You finally get your first Piper plate," and he's like, "Ee," and then Steel Cage Rules, and it's him going, like, finally got my first Piper plate. Steel Cage Rules, can't use it. But I mean, it did make me think. I know that feud was more challenging than others have been. I personally, Flash feuds for me is its own fun gimmick. If they're gonna mess with a feud, I'd rather they mess with the non-Flash feud version, because I don't like the non-Flash feud version. It's only Saturday night, etc. Maybe do Steel Cage Rules during that or something. But I don't know. I could totally see them bringing it back, because it is something that they just implemented a new mode, and it makes sense for it to disappear for a month and cool while they retool it. But I don't want to see it be Invasion where it just disappears forever again.
No, I don't think it's going to disappear because of Garrison's developer notes video. I mean, he introduced it as this is here. This is going to be here to stay. Like, this is a concept we are really high on. We are really excited about it. Now, I do think, like we just had a first-time chatter say, it was good in Tours and Showdown, Feud, I hated it, right?
Yep.
So I think that felt like the consensus from the community is, I'm willing to do this, but do not, Feud is sacred. Like, I think that was the consensus was, I'm willing to play by your rules, but do not change Feud. Feud is what we measure our worth in the game by as players. And a lot of, I mean, factions that feud well get, basically they set the bar. Feud kind of sets the bar where you're at as a player, where your roster's at competitively. Yeah. So I think it was Flash Feud specifically with I love Flash Feuds, and I even love the new, I don't remember what it's called, the competition within Flash Feud for having the CSS and like really big reward. I love all that. But yeah, Steel Cage felt like they're taking everybody's favorite thing and they're just changing it in a way that doesn't seem to be very well received. That's a hard sell. Go ahead.
No. I mean, it's the same thing to me as boss battle, or at least mechanic wise, just carried over to here. Like, what do we do every boss battle? We go, oh, look, you can't use trap gems. You need to use red gems. This is going to be boosted. And we've all gotten used to that. Thank goodness for Professor and his videos of here's who you should be using. Here's who works really well. And when you do find that right character and you go in and like, oh, I just did a disproportionate amount of damage for my team. Yay! You get excited and you enjoy it. And I think we just haven't had that switch over yet, because it was Feud, because it was a mode we already, boss battle was a new thing entirely and we learned the rules to it. This was a new thing put over the top of something we thought we knew. And so if they do it again, even with Feud, it's just a matter of going, okay, what, Merrick's did a video, make Steel Cage fun. Like, what are the things that are getting buffed? Okay, who are my people that do that? And when people realized that, who was it? I don't know. There was somebody like Mosh or somebody on the last one that was like a super common character that all of a sudden was hitting, just insane amounts of damage. Once people started realizing, oh, just use this character. Oh, just use this character. Then some of the angst started to go away and people started having fun again. It's just, we get used to, no, I'm only going to use OTC and William Regal for everything. And then William Regal gets, he can't use the plate. So now all of a sudden his moveset doesn't hit as hard, and we go, oh, well, what the heck? But all of a sudden, Acro HBK hits for zillion or whatever.
And, well, that's where I think the I think the negativity was pretty warranted. Is that Boss Battle, although it does penalize you like this week's for using trap gems, right?
Right.
But it didn't. There's nothing that says you can't use a strap, you can't use a plate, you can't use gear, you
Right.
can't use a moment, right? Those are the things that you play competitively to acquire so that you can continue to increase how you play competitively.
Right.
So that's where it just felt kind of counterintuitive to the format. If Feud is the most competitive forum, if you have those items that you have won, earned, or bought
Right.
to enhance your ability to play competitively, um, that just feels like a feel bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, why did
Makes
I
sense.
work so hard? Why did I grind? Why did I spend? Why did I chase? Why did I feud? Why did I hit the stretch milestones? Why did I dot 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 dot? If you're gonna make it to where I can't use any of it in a competitive format, and where also now you've just leveled the playing field, um, for everything that I've, and I'm representing people in the community, not me. I don't necessarily hold this view, but it's like, well, these guys are, dedicated to another level
Right.
in competition in the game. So why limit the competitive advantage that they have earned,
Right.
grinded for, spent for, accumulated over time through excellent competitive play?
Right.
That's where I just thought that's a weird ask, man. That's just a weird ask. Hey, we
It's a
know,
weird
we
ass
know,
man.
we know you chased really hard to get OTC Roman, but guess what? You can't use him. You can't use him this feud or
Yeah.
whoever, right? And you're like, what?
Right.
What do you mean?
Right.
That's the whole reason I went hard after them, was to be able to do what you're now telling me has been taken off the table. My head of the table is no longer welcome at the table, right? I
Right.
don't know. I don't feel like I am being irrational here,
No.
because rarely do I side with the whale contingency of the community.
Yeah.
Rarely do I go, oh yeah, hey, they have a point, right? But like in the steel cage kind of logic, I thought, yeah, that's wild. That's wild. They've just made
S-
us all free to play.
Right. That makes sense.
So
So if
I,
they had done something more like Boss Battle, where let's say trap gems aren't allowed in the steel cage, or maybe it's a specific color gem does, zero damage or something like that, would that have felt better to you than you can't use plates, you can't use,
I
straps or whatever?
I love it. So I said, Sensei Crease, we are so close. We have almost entered the rusty rant zone. I'm on the
Uh,
edge. I'm on the edge.
I'm on
No,
the
I
edge.
think it would feel better. I think it would feel better because that's okay. Taking away the ability to use trap gems limits all players equally. That's a nerf that affects us all equally, regardless of what advantages we might have on our roster. That's
Yeah.
an equalizer. But to say no plates, that's doing one portion of the community that has earned, accumulated, etc., spent for these plates, and the other community that has not the plates, right? To say, well, we need to, you know, that's where I just go, yeah, that's a weird equalizer, though.
Mm.
That's a because, and I'm not trying to get political at all, but some people get very upset and very offended by certain whatever social services or other things in the community. We're like, well, these guys haven't maybe necessarily, earned what I have, and I don't want to go there. I'm just saying
Yeah.
there's mindset of inequity that takes it takes some real thought as we process our moral and ethical stances behind it.
Thank you,
Okay?
Chidi.
They haven't spent what I have spent, so they shouldn't have what I have. That's a
Right.
very fair way to say that goes beyond the game into some people's entire worldview and political ethos, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think I just think it's tricky stuff. It's
Yeah,
tricky stuff. It's really hard to get it right when it
it
comes to that.
is. Well, and
So
Mr. Beast here in the comments section said, the big thing with Boss Battle is if you don't have a hitter, you can still get carried by your faction, but with feuds, you can't. So if you don't have someone that works with the steel cage, but again, I think that the way like Merrick's videos proved is that they're trying to make it where everybody has, they buff up something that B tier, some B tier character in there that everybody has is going to hit insane damage. It's finding that character. So, I think we've only had one instance now of Steel Cage rules, one event of it, so to speak, even though it was a couple mini instances. We'll have to see what happens as it comes back. We heard a lot of complaints about Boss Battle when it first came out. Now, granted, a lot of that was tied around the stability issues and stuff like that. But even still, when same thing, KO, as it's been pointed out in the comments section, they continue to nerf KO in every instance that they possibly can in Boss Battle. And we've just gotten used to it, right? We're like, all right, whatever, I can't use KO for that. But now I've got this character over here. I think that's going to start to be the ethos of Steel Cage rules as they go. Even if it was the same as what it has been, people are going to be like, well, whatever, I can't use that character. But, they made Showboat Godfather able to do 1 billion damage this time around. So I'm going to use Showboat Godfather. Maybe, loot box gems are times 1,000,000% or something. Who
oh
knows?
man, please. I've got a Rainmaker strap ready to rumble if that's the case. So yeah, I don't want to take us to a bad place or a negative place, but I will say this, Lee, it is a very difficult task trying to we've heard this phrase over and over, ensure fairness in the community.
Oof.
It is a
Yeah.
very daunting task that I do not think I can do it. I am not the man for the job. Okay. I do not have the solution to
Right.
ensure fairness in the community. I think that is a really, really challenging subject. I think every situation that happens in the game, they have, with increasing skill, done a better job at, quote, fairness in the community or ensuring. There was a flash market glitch, I want to say several recently, where some players got to exploit the market quickly. It reset, and they caught it, and they said, well, we've got to just leave it up. Everyone should have access to this. We can't let some sneak through and others not. So whoever is out there that is kind of the community fairness, if it's, I don't know if it's on the development side, I don't know if it's on the support side, I don't know if it's the community manager and his team, whoever it is, thank you, because I think you've put a lot of thought and a lot of hard work into that aspect of this community, and that you are ensuring you are taking great lengths, even at a financial cost at times, to ensure fairness to the community. And it's gotten significantly better since I mentioned the that message that went out last year about a commitment to get it right. I think they have. I think they have grown substantially with that. So
I agree. Yeah,
it's a reverse rant. It's a compliment salad, if you will.
Rusty's compliment salad. That's our new segment on Champions Chat.
Yeah, we love it. We love the community. We want to ensure fairness to the community. We want to see a high level of competition, and we want to see people from our community featured on this show in our community spotlight. Um, there's been some other streamers that we've been kind of finding that we'd love to see on. There's been some other, if you're playing the game and maybe have a unique perspective on it, we'd love to talk to you. So send us a DM, and on Discord probably is the easiest way. Join our Discord and leave us some feedback. We'd love to talk with you and get that conversation started. And yeah, Sensei Crease
Sensei
compliment salad
Crease.
makes me feel uncomfortable in a way I can't describe. That being said, Lee, have you been watching any WWE TV?
I did. I watched a PLE or so. I kept myself caught up on Raw and some other things. But since we didn't get to be here last week, I don't know if this is at all where you expected or want to take this, but I would say one of my favorite superstars of all time went from inactive on the roster to in my top 5 favorite current active characters in one segment. Do you know who I'm
Huh.
talking about? Do you
Well,
know?
I mean, is it the return of our truth after the
Oh.
after Bronson Reed squashed him? I don't know.
Dush, 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 dush. Da-na-na-na-na. It's Goldberg. Goldberg
Uh,
is back.
I hope
And I
not.
know this is an unpopular opinion, but
Yeah.
top
Wow.
top 5, top 6 active roster
Oh,
members immediately
oh,
for me. And I'm not even kidding on that whatsoever. Not
oh
even
my
kidding.
gosh.
Goldberg's one of my favorites of all
Uh,
time, and him breathing is more entertaining than half the roster to me. So,
oh, well, in the chat they're calling him Oldberg.
yeah,
Um,
I saw that. Yeah, King Xerxes. The match with Taker was not, and they shouldn't have booked him to beat The Fiend. Yeah. But
I
Goldberg versus Gunther, I'm quite interested in that. I'm more interested in that than Braun Breaker getting a world championship match.
Braun Breaker is the new Goldberg.
He
Why
is,
can't we just have Braun Breaker?
because
Right? Why
Goldberg's
can't
better.
like no? Oh my gosh. I'm so taken aback right now because you have gone to professional wrestling school.
I
Like
have.
you know what it takes to be safe in the ring. You know. And this is a person who in his young years was so inappropriately physical that he ended people's careers. And now in his old age doesn't have the ring rust could be lethal. And I'm not using hyperbole here. Just wear a suit. He's never been able to cut a promo. So I was gonna say wear a suit, talking to the mic, do your thing. But
Right.
like maybe he could get a spot to like put someone over, but like why? It made sense that he was in Atlanta because that's his territory. He was
Yeah.
huge in Atlanta, huge with WCW, but like I when they that was probably the only thing about Bad Blood I did not love was was him getting involved,
Yeah.
him jumping the security rail. Oh, and all
Oh,
I
and I
thought was
was
like, no,
cheering. I
do
was
not
hoping.
do it.
Oh, yeah. It's to me, it's so much more interesting than Sami Zayn. Just I
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Oh, let him do something for the Saudis, a crown jewel. Fine. Let them experience the sparklers and the 50 security personnel that are needed to. If he's so lethal, why does he need all those bodyguards?
Oh, they're
Right?
not for him. They're for the people he might destroy on the way to the
Oh
ring.
my gosh. And why does he never know what time it is? Why do they have to knock on his dressing room door to let him know it's time? Why is he the only wrestler that can lose track of time when he's supposed to be at his own match? Why? Right?
That's funny. in
It's
the
just like,
comments. Go ahead.
uh, I don't, I can't even believe the thing you marked out about was like, it's such a dynamic PLE. It's such a Hall of Fame saturated PLE. Um, I can't believe that was your, hey, Goldberg came back. Awesome. Yeah. Like, what?
That
Dominic
was
Mysterio got beat like a pinata hanging upside down,
yeah.
right?
And if
That
Goldberg would have
was the,
speared him upside down, that would have been the moment
oh,
of the night.
oh my gosh.
No?
The only thing that could have made it worse would be Brock Lesnar coming out to challenge Goldberg again.
Oh, that's one of my favorite
Or,
matches ever. The one where
oh
where
my
Goldberg beat him in
gosh.
42 seconds. I love
Oh,
that.
the only thing that could have made it worse than that would have been Seth Rollins having to talk into the mic and sing as part of the segment. That's the only thing that could have made it worse. It's the only thing that could have made it worse. Um,
Oh,
and somehow Rollins is on this road to redemption now
yeah.
to take out Bronson Reed.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. So Wrestle Talk had a really good take on that. They said we really were close. Like Seth got taken out. If he came back as a new character, even if it was a revival, like go back to the Undisputed Future Seth, or go back to Mr. Monday Night Seth, or whatever. But anything but the cackling, like pseudo
Right.
Joker version of
Yeah.
Seth, and that's what he went right back to. So I was. But I
Because
mean,
or
Seth putting somebody like Bronson over is a big deal. I mean, he's a
yeah.
big name. And so if Bronson can stomp on Seth, then life's good. If they get together and Seth definitively curb stomps him and Bronson goes back down the card and Seth still, then I'm, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrestling has been so good. Lee, I don't know if you've caught any NXT, but
No.
NXT being on the CW has been huge. They've been doing
Yeah.
lots of crossover, lots of big names. CM Punk was down there as a guest
Saw
ref.
that. I heard about that.
The women's tag titles have been in contention on NXT. They're just firing on all cylinders right now. It's
Mm.
really fun to watch. I actually texted a friend from college to say, "Do you still watch wrestling?" And he said, "No, I haven't in years." And I told him it's worth checking out again. It is so
Mm.
good now that we're in this Triple H era, and we love it again. And there's always something building. I have so here's an obscure question for you. What happened to Odyssey Jones? Where's he
Oh.
at?
Oop. Nope.
Because he was.
Nope.
Oh, am I not? Is that a bad one? Okay. Well, he was
There may
there.
have been some domestic abuse
Oh,
allegations.
I haven't heard about that. I just saw him as potentially being the third member of the New Day, and I got really excited about that story. And
Yeah, that had real life allegedly happened to it.
whoops, whoopsie,
Stepped in
man.
a big pile of Goldberg's career right there. Whoops.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's all. I think that's all for today's show. I think that's all. Yeah, we'll
Oh,
end it on a low note like that. That was
it okay.
perfect.
Well, I was going to ask you about KO, but we could save that
No,
for
go
the next
ahead. Go
time.
ahead. Go ahead. No,
Well, no,
go.
I'm curious your thoughts about the way they're building KO versus Cody since they're trying to do Gunther versus Cody on screen, how they're
Right.
doing like a viral marketing aspect to just letting KO beat the snot out of Cody while there's no WWE broadcast happening and just let people
Right.
catch it on their phones and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's an experiment. I think they're trying to see if they can tell a story a different way. I think they are tinkering right now and seeing what's possible, especially with um, you have one program that's only on social media,
Yeah.
right? With speed. You have one I don't know if you've realized this, Lee, but now um, all of the PLE pre-shows, they're live on Twitch, they're live on TikTok. You can watch the build to the PLEs and the recaps live on social media streaming. And so I think they're pushing the envelope to see what can they get away with, and what will people engage with, what can they actually make go viral, and where can they monetize that? How can they build an audience for it? Can they tell internet only stories? I think it feels like it's an experimental, and so they chose two big names with big followings to try to tinker with without altering necessarily the what's happening on the brand. At
Right.
least that's just my speculation. I don't know where this is headed because we've already seen Kevin and Cody at a PLE in a
Yeah.
main event. We haven't seen heel Kevin in a
I was gonna
while.
say, yeah, that was like good guy. I don't want to hurt you, Cody, champ. And he still got close. Now this is the can Kevin get the title that he hasn't had in years, and can he win when he's the Killer Instinct version of Kevin Owens, and et cetera, et cetera. I personally think it's really cool how they're setting this up, and I really like the way they're playing off of like, hey, WWE isn't letting me share my point of view on this, and so if they don't let he kind of made an ultimatum. If they don't let me share on SmackDown, then I'm gonna have to just release this here. And I hate social media, which is probably true. That sounds
Right.
very true to form for Kevin Owens. And as
Yeah.
you're making me do this. And it's just like it's playing off all of the right tropes to get people to be interested. And I think we're past the day of people going, oh, but this one's real. Like this, everybody's going, okay, yeah, they're trying something. This is a master ploy. But at least, kudos to WWE for doing it different, right? Like, it's not just on TV. It's something where your friends are going, "Oh, did you hear about Kevin Owens attacking Cody?" And you're like, "Well, no, I watched the show. That didn't happen." They're like, "Oh, no, no, no. This was in the parking lot afterwards, and my buddy got on his cell phone footage." And you're like, "What?" Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I know that's supposed to happen, but was that supposed to happen? It just gives that feel back to it a little bit.
I think what it does is it adds more complexity and more nuance to the stories that they're telling.
Yeah.
Right? They're looking for that crossover. They're looking for life imitating art and art imitating life. And that's always what wrestling has kind of been about. Hey, since we're talking about curveballs to championships, I think they're starting to tease Tiffy going after a different title. I think
Yeah.
they're starting to turn the corner on potentially Tiffy cashing in on Liv, which is, I wonder if it has to do with her following and putting her on Netflix. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem like she's going to be the life that they interject into the stale SmackDown Women's title.
Maybe. I mean, it seems like okay. So here's my take on this. In storyline fashion, and I'm just realizing this as I say it, so forgive my mouth and my brain for working together for once here. But this is like the perfect setup. This champions versus champions setup for the Money in the Bank person. We've done Night of Champions, we've done champion versus champion before, stuff like that. But now you've got this match where Liv and Nia theoretically are going to, kaboom, 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 and both of them are wiped out. Neither of them can get the pin. They're both exhausted. Out comes Tiffy time, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, but which one is she going to go after? Which one is she going to, what if she were to stack Liv on top of Nia and pin them both with the cash in, or what would happen? So it creates a decent dynamic of tension, and I think if they keep leaning into that, like Tiffy says, I'm going to cash in on one of the champions at Crown Jewel. Well, now you've got a reason for Crown Jewel. You've got a reason
You
for
think
that
they'll do a
match.
cash in Jeddah? I mean,
I think so.
They've been trying to add further legitimacy to that
Yep.
PLE for years. Maybe
Yep.
that's the next step.
I think she still cashes in on Nia, because you're right. The SmackDown, I mean, as much as Bailey is fun and all that. They really tanked the women's championship on that show during her run. Nia has not done anything with it. They need somebody, kind of like how the world champion needed Gunther, to elevate it back up. They need somebody to elevate back that belt. And I think Tiffy's the one to do it. They don't need that
It's
on
gonna
Raw.
have to
They've
be a
got
heel.
Liv
It's
and Rhea.
it's gonna have to be a heel. It's gonna have to be a heel. The only thing that could save it by a face would be a return of Becky Lynch. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing they can do to make it interesting. Well, that is all I have for today's show. I will call it a day and go make myself a bowl of chili for lunch. And Lee, why don't you take us out?
You're a day. All right. See you guys next time. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. No, not Twitter. Sorry. Twitch and YouTube. And then be sure to check out the official WWE Champions YouTube and Twitch stream, which it happens every Friday night, where we're power rating some people this week. Probably a Ninja Turtle. Probably somebody else. Maybe Muscle Man Bray. Who knows? We'll see you on that one. Bye.